along the x-axis. So now I'm going to move this, and I'm going to move it all the way to 1 and 2/3. Let me circle that so you guys can see that clearly. 1 and 2/3. So I'm going to move from the x-axis 1 and 2/3. And the only one we have right there is I. So I'm going to write down, oh, is that right? 1 and 2/3 on the y-axis. So I have 1 and 2/3, which is, that's the letter I, right? So I'm going to write down I. Oh, wait, no. They're asking me which point is located at 1 and 2/3 units along the x-axis. So right here, 1 and 2/3, that would be M. I'm sorry, guys. I made a mistake, but I caught it in time, so that is M. So I'm going to make sure to write down M. Next, it asked me to give the coordinate pair for each of the following points. And if you notice here, we have the coordinate K, I, B, and C. So K, I already wrote it earlier, which is great, is 5 1/3. And 2 2/3. Okay? And then the next one, they asked for I. So did I find I yet? I did find I. So I'm going to write down I as well. I is 3 1/3 and 1 2/3. Next, they asked me to label B. So did I find B? Looking for B. Oh, B is right here. So I'm going to circle it so you guys can see it. And it looks like it's at 1. Where is it? It's at 5 2/3. And for Y, it's on this line. So that means it's 0. So I'm going to write 0. So X, Y. At X, it's at 5 2/3. For the Y-axis, it's at 0. So this line right here would be considered 0, and this one too would be considered 0. So I'm going to write 5 2/3 and 0. Now for the C-axis, let's see, C-coordinate. Did I find my C-coordinate? So C-coordinate's right here. And I noticed that my x-axis, it's at 0. Right here on the bottom, it's at 0. It's on the y-axis line, so that's 0. And when I go up, it stops at 5 1/3 for the y-axis. So x, y. I'm going to make sure to label that. So I have 0 and 5 1/3. Okay, now I'm going to move on to problem number G. Now problem number G asks you to name the points located at the following coordinates. So they want me to label where is each one. The first one says 1 2/3 for my x coordinate, and then my y is 2/3. So I'm moving up 1 2/3. So I'm looking over here, 1 2/3, and they said it was 2/3. So we stop at 2/3, and that is the letter M. So I'm going to write letter M. For next one, we have 0 and 2 2/3. So 0 means that it doesn't move on here. So it just moves up to 2 2/3. And if you notice right here, 2 2/3 is at F. So I'm going to write the letter F. Next, I have 1, 0. So X on the line is going to be 1 and then 0. So it looks like we have it right here, which is coordinate A. Next one, we have 2 and 5, 2. So we're going to move 2, and then it says 5 2/3. Excuse me. So right here is 2, and then I'm going to move up 5 2/3. And if you see right there, we have 5 2/3, and that is right there. That's the letter N. So that's N. I'm going to write down N right here. For problem H, it says which point has an equal x and y coordinate. So which one has an equal x and y coordinate? That is going to be coordinate L. And the reason why it's coordinate L is because it has 5 and also 5. So this coordinate right here has 5 and 5, which is equal to each other because 5 is equal to 5. So I'm going to turn the page. For problem I, it asks you to give the coordinates for the intersection of the two axes. So we have blank blank. Another name for this point on the plane is called blank blank. So the intersection for both of them, which is right here, is 0 and 0, right? So I'm going to write 0 and 0, and another name for this point is called the origin. For problem J, it asks you to plot the following points. We have point P, Q, R, and S. The first one is 4 and 1/3, 4. So I'm going to move 4 and 1/3, and then I'm going to move up to 4. So this is 4 and 1/3, and I'm moving up to 4, and 4 is right here, and right here is my new point. And this new point is called my P point. That's letter P. And then the next one they asked me to plot is point Q. So Q is going to be 1/3 on the x-axis. So we have 1/3 right here. And then they want me to move up to 6. So that's 1/3 and this is 6. So this one is going to be labeled Q. Okay. And then next they asked me to label R, which is 4 and 2/3. So I'm moving all the way to 4 and 2/3 first, and then I'm moving up to 1. So 4 and 2/3, and this right here is 1. And they want me to label that point R. And the last one is at 0. So this is 0 on the x-axis. And they want me to move up on the y-coordinate 1 and 2/3. So I have 1 and 2/3, and this point or coordinate is going to be called S. Okay? Now, for the next problem, we have problem K. Problem K asks us, what is the distance between E, H, or EH? So I'm looking at E, H, and EH. So where is E? E is right here. H is right here. And so I'm looking at this line right here. Okay, kind of put a little under so it wouldn't cross out. But that's the line I'm looking at. They want me to measure how much that is equal to. So I have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3, 8/3. So I have 8/3. So I'm going to write that down, 8/3. Okay, so in order to figure that out, I'm going to divide. How many times does 3 go into 8? That is going to be 3 times, nope, less than that, 2. Because 3 times 2 is equal to 6. I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 6 is equal to 2. So it's 2. My remainder is there, and we have 3 that goes in the bottom. So my final answer is 2 and 2/3. That is the measurement. Okay, now I'm going to turn the page. For problem 1, it asks, what is the length of HD? So same thing, I'm going to look at H and D. So we have HD, let's see, where's H? And this is D. Oh no, that's B. Where is D? I have H right here. I feel like I'm playing a scavenger hunt. H, oh, D is up here. Oh my gosh. There you go. I'm going to draw a line so you can see where H and D are. See that black line? So that's where H and D is, and I'm going to count by 1/3 as well. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3. So I have 7/3. So I'm going to divide and figure out how many times does 3 go into 7. 2 times. Subtract. 7 minus 6 is equal to 1. And then my 3 goes on the bottom. So my final answer is 2 and 1/3. That is the distance. Will the length ED be greater or less than EH and HD? So I need to figure out, is it going to be greater than or less than? So I'm looking at ED, which is right here, and I'm looking at HD. So I have ED, which is across, and then I have HD. So looking at that, I know that it is going to be less. For problem N, Jack was absent when the teacher explained how to describe the location of a point on the coordinate plane. Explain it to him using point J. So the x-coordinate is the number of units to the right. J is 3 and 1/3. The y-coordinate is a number of units up. J is 1/3. You name the point by x, y, so j is 3 1/3 and 1/3. Okay, so that is your last question for the problem set.